Today on This Week in Video Games, we have our first ever live contest during the show. Plus, we have another round of bonus points and the top 5 fighting games of all time. Everyone out there in internet land, I'm Andrea Renee and you're watching This Week in Video Games right here on thisweekend.com. I'm here with my lovely co-host, Miss Jessica Villarreal. How are you doing today?
Hi, I'm fine. Thank you very much. Thank you everyone for joining us.
And we also have Adrian Acevedo-Smith over there in the corner, manning the chat room. How's it going today, Adrian?
Hey guys,
got lots of cool peeps in the chat room?
Yeah, so far. I just logged in and it looks good.
Fantastic. Well, normally at this point of the show, we would go right into a showdown, but unfortunately we had some technical difficulties. We were going to play Lucha Libre, the new Mexican wrestling game that's out, but we're going to have to scrap it this week. It's the first week in ages that we haven't had a showdown, but don't worry, we will be competing head-to-head in bonus points at the end of the show, so that'll be lots of fun. So I just want to go ahead right now and give a huge shout-out to our sponsor, GoDaddy.com. If you guys don't have a domain yet, if you've been wanting to set up a website, GoDaddy makes it super easy to do so. I have my website, AndreaRenee.com, is a GoDaddy domain. And with our awesome promo code that you see there, TWIST749, you can get your first domain for just $7.49. GoDaddy starts at less than $5 a month. It promises 99.9% uptime, 24/7 support, and free access to the GoDaddy hosting connection because they now offer website hosting. They have unlimited disk space and bandwidth for less than $15 a month, which is amazing. When I got my GoDaddy site, they didn't offer hosting, so I unfortunately have hosting through a different site. But now, when you sign up with GoDaddy, you can get hosting for less than $15 a month. And of course, write down that promo code, TWIST749, so you can get your first domain for just $7.49. Don't worry, most of everything is covered, but I do have to say there are a few restrictions, so do see the website for details. So, we're going to go right into the news, but at first, you told me that you heard breaking news just before the show started. What's this all about?
Yeah, well, I saw the article on joystick.com and basically, apparently, Xbox Germany has announced, well, it was announced and then they immediately removed it, that the friends cap on your Xbox Live account would be raised to 1,000 friends.
Oh my lord.
1,000, yeah. Right now, for those who don't know, it's at 100. And it was, I don't know why it was removed. There wasn't any update after that. But yeah, that's the, I guess the rumor for right now is that it's being raised to 1,000, which I kind of think is an unnecessary number. That's a little too much.
It's completely unnecessary. I mean, I think 100 is definitely low because I have some friends like Torrance Davis from the Bit Bag. I'm calling you out on This Week in Video Games. I tried to add you as my friend, but it says you have too many friends.
Right.
So 100 is kind of low, but 1,000, who has that many friends online anyway?
Yeah, honestly, I have, my friends list is full too. I do have 100, but I think I only play with 2 people, ever.
How come we're not friends on Xbox?
Because we just met last week.
Oh, that's right.
We haven't had time.
Okay, we'll be friends tonight. When I go home, I'll add you for sure. But we do have a lot of news this week that we do want to get to, and the first story I want to talk about is Castlevania Lords of Shadow that came out just last week, and there's already reportedly a sequel in the works.
Wow.
Now this is kind of a little ridiculous in the video game world. They don't normally announce sequels right away. It did earn very positive reviews from critics when it launched last week, and now it seems that there's a sequel. And why do you think this is? Well, composer Oscar Araujo told a Spanish radio that he thought that Konami has asked him to do another score. He said that he was asked for an aggressive score to contrast the effeminate, there we go, image of the past. Now, I guess what's happening here is that people are just assuming that because he was asked to do another score that it's for Castlevania. And I can actually go ahead and put this rumor to rest because I was at Konami this week. Yesterday, I was at the Konami headquarters here in California. And I asked one of the producers there, I was like, so what's the deal with this Castlevania rumor? And he's like, we have no idea. We haven't even begun thinking of it. We just launched Lords of Shadow. He's like, it's completely bogus. Not trying to say that a sequel's not happening, but we want to wait and see how it does before we make that decision. So this is completely a bogus rumor. You heard it here on This Week in Video Games.
Nice, okay, that's good.
So, and this leads me into our next point. Our first live ever contest. We want to reward all of our loyal fans in the chat room on Ustream.tv who are with us here every week. While I was at Konami, I happened to get this awesome Castlevania t-shirt, which is really cool. It says Castlevania there at the bottom. And we want to give it away to one of you. And Adrian is going to tell you how you can win the t-shirt. And then he's also going to tell you how you can win your very own copy of Castlevania Lords of Shadow for the PS3. So we're giving away the t-shirt live today, and then everyone who's watching will have a week to win the game. So Adrian, go ahead and tell them how they can win.
All right, so if you would want to win the t-shirt, right now what you have to do is that we're going to give it to the person who can list the fastest, who can write the most Castlevania games in the fastest time right here in the chat room. That's how you win the t-shirt. And if you would like to win the PS3 version of the game, you are going to have to answer this question. A selectable character from one of the Castlevania games is related to a character in a novel. Who is this video game character? Furthermore, in which games did he appear and what novel character is he related to? So the most complete and fastest answer to that question will win. And to answer the question, you have to email
videogames@thisweekend.com.
videogames@thisweekend.com.
And we will also post the question on our blog on thisweekend.com/videogames when we post the episode later on this evening or early tomorrow morning, whenever it gets done. We always post a little blog for you guys, a little rundown of what's in the show. I will repost the question so that you guys, if you didn't get it all, but I'll go ahead and have you repeat it again just so that they get it.
A selectable character from one of the Castlevania games is related to a character in a novel. Who is this video game character? Furthermore, in which games did he appear and what novel character is he related to? So,
all right, that's a really tough question.
Pretty tough. Yeah, we designed it so you couldn't just go to Wikipedia and get the answer in 5 seconds.
Exactly. So did you hear that? You can't go to Wikipedia and get the answer. So good luck to whoever can win. You will get your very own copy of Castlevania Lords of Shadow for the PS3. So I hope you have one if you're entering. Or I guess you can win it and give it away as a gift. So, so that's cool. This is our very first contest here at This Weekend Video Games. So on to the next story. Do you want to talk about this one?
Sure. Looks like Dead Space Ignition is free with a Dead Space 2 pre-orders.
Oh, whoa. There we go.
There we go. Yeah, so let's see here. If you're picking up Dead Space 2, it'll be released in January, and you've not pre-ordered, you might want to get on that. So anyone who pre-orders from a participating retailer will receive a code for a free download of Dead Space Ignition, which releases on the PlayStation Network and Xbox Live Arcade, this week. So if you don't pre-order, you'll still be able to play it when it's released tomorrow, or October 12th, actually. Yes.
Yes,
on
it
the
happens.
PlayStation
It's
Store.
released this week.
Yes, it'll cost $5, and it's already out on Xbox Live Arcade as well for 400 Microsoft points, which is $5.
So it's not too expensive. Now, the whole premise behind this is that they wanted to kind of build hype for Dead Space 2. But a lot of complaints for people that have already purchased Dead Space Ignition that may not have gotten it free by pre-ordering Dead Space 2 and getting the promo code, is that they kind of feel like the artwork in it, it's supposed to be like a moving comic book. Obviously, you saw in the video there that it doesn't quite look like Dead Space 2. Like, all the images we've seen are phenomenal. The graphics and the storytelling. People are kind of, I think that people are saying that this isn't going to make them want to buy Dead Space 2, that this is just like a throwaway freebie.
Ah, okay. I did not hear that actually, but I mean, I see what you're saying. But at the same time, Dead Space 2, or Dead Space in general, I feel like all of their artwork has been so different. I mean, there was the video game, and then there was the Wii version, which we know was a little more toned down graphics-wise just because it's the Wii. And then they had the animation, they had the comic books, they had all sorts of different things. So I think it's kind of nice to create the video game around the comic book world as well, just to give us something a little bit different. But I also know that it looks like they say anything that you do in the in Ignition will carry over to Dead Space 2.
Yes, you do get unlockable things. I can't remember what exactly you get. You get an exclusive hacker suit for Isaac Clarke to wear. Now, he's the protagonist of the game, for those of you not familiar with Dead Space. And the whole story behind Dead Space Ignition has said that it's supposed to be the storyline of what leads up to Dead Space 2 between Dead Space 1 and Dead Space 2, kind of like this prologue to kind of give you some backstory.
Right, yeah. And, you know, we've seen it before with even just Dead Rising 2 that came out just recently.
Yeah, with K-Zero.
With K-Zero. And I thought K-Zero was fantastic, but I also thought it was a nice way to lead into the second game. And everything that I played in K-Zero was brought over to Dead Rising 2, and it honestly helped me so much with my gameplay. So I would probably consider picking this up just so I could have, you know, a stronger chance of doing well in the game when I first begin.
You know, what's interesting about you saying that is that when I watched some of the reviews of this online, because I didn't buy it, Dead Space 2 is one of those games that I'm on the fence about because I'm very afraid of those survival horror games.
Okay.
But I heard that there's just 3 mini games. They're like puzzles that you don't actually get to like shoot anybody or anything like that. That it's just like these little hacker games that it's mostly just story driven. It's basically like story, mini game, story, mini game, and then another bunch of stories and another mini game, and that's it. So.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah.
I don't know. They did. I don't believe they showed us any of that at E3. None of the mini games
none
per
of the
se.
Dead Space Ignition stuff. So
Ignition. Oh,
yeah,
okay,
exactly.
Okay. I think it was.
I don't know if anyone in the chat room has played Dead Space Ignition, but if you have, maybe give us your thoughts. How are people doing? Has anybody won yet?
Yeah, there's quite a few participants right now. They're actually working on the big question as well.
Okay, fantastic.
Yeah.
Tell them not to put the answer in the chat room.
Yeah, the big question is no.
If you guys have the answer for the
email.
video game, make sure you email us at videogames@thisweekend.com. Don't post it in the chat room because you'll disqualify yourself for cheating. That's cheating. You can't give away the answer. Okay, so moving on to our next story, Halo Reach to get campaign matchmaking. Yes, for the first time in history, Halo Reach owners could soon see matchmaking on the first-person shooter's campaign mode. Now, they haven't put out a firm date yet. They're saying that Bungie is planning on rolling this out either October 12th or on October 19th, pending a final testing phase. So I'm pretty sure this didn't come out today, because what is the date today? It's like the 13th?
14th?
14th, yeah, so it's not out yet. So I'm guessing it's coming out next week. Bungie also launched an extensive update to its playlist, including the debut of a new Team SWAT playlist, a match type where players battle with only a high-powered designated marksman rifle, or a DMR if you're a Halo fan, and a pistol, of course. Now, SWAT, I'm really terrible at SWAT. I think my problem is that I get too nervous and you have to hit someone, you have to do headshots pretty much the whole time. But the good news is that one shot will kill people. So
nice. Okay.
I remember there was one SWAT game where I killed 11 people and I thought I was like king of the world. Goes to show my Halo matchmaking abilities. But it's my first time really playing a first-person shooter as Halo, because I really told myself that I needed to force myself to learn how to play first-person shooters. And I did try another first-person shooter this week, and it was okay. I didn't really like it. I'm not going to say which one it is, because I'll incriminate myself. And so that's it. Are you playing Halo?
I did do some Halo Reach. I don't do multiplayer. I just, I'm all about story mode, campaign mode. I don't like really going online much and playing with people, because I really do suck. Well, and maybe that's the problem.
But now we could play the campaign together.
Yeah.
Because you can matchmake now with the campaign. Now before, to clear up confusion, you could do co-op campaign locally with your friends.
Right.
Or with people on your Xbox Live friends list. And now what Bungie is offering is matchmaking in the campaign, meaning you can play with people you've never met before, that they can jump in on your campaign.
That makes sense, but I think at the same time, I don't really like playing with strangers.
Yeah.
I don't know. I guess that's what my mom taught me, but I just don't like.
No, I hear you.
You know, I like sticking with my friends.
They say nasty things over their headsets.
Yeah, they do. They do. Sometimes really annoying things, but yeah.
Exactly.
But I mean, good for anyone who wants to do that.
Definitely. Most certainly. So did you hear about this Borderlands story?
I know, yes. Now, I am a big fan of Borderlands, I'm not going to lie, but please.
No, go ahead. Please,
okay.
tell the people.
Yeah, Borderlands Game of the Year Edition is going to come with Duke Nukem. So Gearbox announced that their Game of the Year Edition is now available, and it actually comes with Zombie Island of Dr. Ned, Mad Moxie's Underdome, the Secret Armory of General Knox, and the latest Claptastic Adventure. Yes, Claptrap's New Robot Revolution. And in addition to getting all the DLC for free, which I'll go into that, you'll get a membership certificate to the Duke Nukem Forever First Access Club, which means exclusive access to a playable demo and bonuses. So the first thing with Borderlands is I was an early adopter. I bought the game right when it came out. I maxed out my brick. Actually, I maxed out my brick twice because there was a glitch in the game when it first came out that corrupted your save files. So
that's
I
terrible.
lost my brick twice, and I was so upset. And I finally now have him up to a level 61. I have all the downloadable content, and so I just kind of find it unfortunate that since, you know, I got the game early, I still had to pay like all this money to get 4 DLCs, and then to just come out a year later and be like, oh, you can just have that. That's just come buy our game and you can have all the DLC for free. I'm a little bitter about that because I'm a cheap bastard. I'm not gonna lie. So.
Oh, come on, I think everyone out there in the video game world is
Yes.
not exactly like shelling out their money.
Right.
I think this is really just a way for Gearbox to try to extend the life of this IP.
Yeah, that makes sense too, but at the same time, the Claptrap's New Robot Revolution was supposed to also come with a level 69 cap, and they pretty much released a broken game because that is not in there. They said they're going to be releasing a patch sometime soon. They said they were going to release it with the Game of the Year edition, and they didn't. And so now everyone who's bought the Robot Revolution can't really play it because what's the point in playing it if you can't level?
Exactly.
So-
It's like a waste of time.
Yeah, so and I have been playing it and I have been turning in missions, but I didn't quite realize that, you know, at first I wasn't getting that much experience, and then I realized like, oh, wait, I'm not going to be able to go back and get these again, these missions. So I just have to wait.
Right,
And so
exactly.
it's just a game sitting there taunting me that I can't play.
How
So,
frustrating. I
yeah.
don't think I've ever really experienced any really bad glitches in any of the games I've played. I know there's supposed to be some glitches in Halo Reach and that Bungie put some patches out for, but I never had any glitch
I
problems.
didn't experience any either.
Yeah.
Oh, wait, I did experience some. Like when I was on either Heroic or Legendary, whenever I passed a certain level, it would take me back out to the main menu.
Oh, maybe that's why, because I never played on Heroic
okay.
or Legendary. I think I was playing on Normal. That's the one.
I beat it on Normal, and then I tried to go back and do Heroic and Legendary. And
Oh, okay. See,
yeah.
that was the difference for me. I did the campaign, and the campaign took so long for me to do that when I finished it finally, it was fabulous. But I was like, now I can focus on doing matchmaking because there's so many
Yeah.
really cool matchmaking options in the daily challenges and stuff. But all right, here's me going on and on about Halo again. I want to check in with Adrian. How's it going over there in the chat room? Do we have a winner yet?
It looks like we haven't announced one just yet, but there
Okay.
are a few participants.
Well, whenever you are ready to announce a winner,
the
you
winner
just
is? Okay.
give us a holler over there, all right?
Sure.
they're over there saying that I'm coming down hard on Gearbox. No,
Yeah.
they released a broken game.
being
I
honest.
paid $10 for that. It's
Yeah.
like I can't take it back. I can't get a refund.
Right, because it's
you know?
DLC.
So that's just telling it like it is. Thank you very much.
Hey, there's nothing wrong with that. All right, so what is this crazy graphic story that you have coming up?
Oh, okay. So Epic's Mark Rain actually went in depth with Unreal Engine 3 going to Trioviz. I think that's how you say it. I'm not quite
looks like
sure.
it, Trioviz.
But they're working together to make the Unreal Engine 3 3D. And so Mark Rain went to say that right now they don't have any plans for Epic games to go 3D, but this is something that they can license to outside sources for 3D. And I think that's a very smart move for Epic because right now the Unreal Engine 3 is like the pretty girl at the dance. Like everyone wants a piece of it and everyone's licensing it. And so everyone else is going the way of 3D, it seems. Not everyone, but quite a few people
Right,
are
of
starting to
course.
jump on the bandwagon. So why not have, you know, your engine or your middleware that provides that sort of 3D aspect for people? It'll just drive more sales.
Absolutely. So this would be proprietary to Epic Games, meaning
don't know.
it belongs to them.
It looks like it, yeah. And so what's interesting is they said at GDC they actually showed a little bit of Dead Space in 3D, and
Really?
going back to that,
Right, like it needs to be scarier.
I know. Well, see, that's the thing is you say that you get scared with games. I love scary games and survival horror and anything that scares me because if something can scare me, then I find it impressive because I'm very immune.
Have you played Amnesia for
No,
the
I've
PC
not
yet? It's
played
actually
Amnesia.
an incredibly scary game. One of
Oh,
our guys
that's
just did a walkthrough on it. The really cool thing about Amnesia is that you're literally just walking around this really dark, haunted house and you have no weapons. So the only thing that you can do is just run away from these monsters that are chasing you and try to not lose your sanity. Because like if you stay in the dark for too long, you start going crazy. So you're always trying to find oil for your lantern. It's like the sanity meter in Eternal Darkness for the GameCube. It's a really great game.
That was sort of similar to, wasn't it, Clock Tower was like that too? You didn't have any weapons, and you kind of had to, like, when you ran, you had to keep like your heart rate down or something like that, or your panic meter or something like that. But
well, Alan Wake kind of has those elements as well, that whole light and darkness thing, where you have to like shine the light on like the guys in the forest or whatever to like hit them.
Okay.
Did you play a little bit of Alan Wake?
No, not yet, not yet. But
I didn't make it through the whole game. I pretty much just did the demo, but some of the guys around the studio are big fans of it. So.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, but it has those same kind of elements, Amnesia. I actually talked about that today on Mahalo Video Games today. In case you guys didn't know, I will talk about Mahalo Video Games a little bit later on when I do our exclusive Konami walkthrough, which I forgot to tease at the top of the show now that I'm thinking about it. Got so excited about our giveaway today. So, but you have, this is a really interesting story that you brought up, and I have some very big opinions about it, but you go ahead and tell the viewers out there what this story is all about.
Okay, yeah, basically, I found this on the BBC, and it's doctors claim video games, quote, don't lead to violence. So psychologists in the US are actually warning that people who are depressed, lonely, or angry could turn hostile after playing violent video games. However, studies are saying that the majority of games have no effect now, and the American Psychology Association has actually said those who suffer from things like diabetes or asthma, it can help them. And so the article, yeah, it's crazy. So the article just goes on to, you know, it actually does argue both sides, and that it quotes, you know, respectable psychologists from universities and things like that. But there are a few different opinions. But the end consensus is basically there's no proof that video games are causing these violent behaviors in children, and that violence begets violence from an early age, and it's not the games, it's whatever's happening in that person's life. And so it's good to see that there's actually studies and doctors and researchers claiming that, you know, Jack Thompson is wrong, and, you know, this is not the reason why there's school shootings and things like that. So I think it's a step in the right direction for standing up for video games, basically.
Right. Well, that's good. I mean, I honestly feel like there are so many conflicting studies about this, and the thing that I feel the media forgets to remind the viewers about is the stats of these studies. How many people are involved? Like this particular study said they only had 100 teenagers. Now, for them to kind of extrapolate the findings from 100 teenagers into across the board, this is the way teenagers feel about video games, I don't find that scientific enough. I feel like there's 6 billion people on this earth, and for you to pick 100 of maybe there's, let's say that there's 500 million teenagers, right? Out of the 6 billion, there's maybe like 0.5 billion teenagers. Like, I mean, come on, really, it's ridiculous. I think that the real problem is parenting, and that when it comes down to it, if you have parents that are actively participating or actively engaging or watching what their kids are playing and being there to be like, to counterpoint with them, hey, I'll let you play Grand Theft Auto, but I want to have the discussion with you about, you know, women and violence. You know, is it okay to hit women and things like that? Because that's a huge issue with that game, you know what I mean? I'm not trying to say I don't like pulling a girl out of the car and smacking her.
You don't like doing hookers in the back of the car, Andrea.
Hey, listen, I play Grand Theft Auto with the best of them. But when it comes to minors, you know, I definitely understand. And what's interesting also when we're talking about this is that there's also news out there about the Supreme Court case that Arnold Schwarzenegger is bringing to the Supreme Court, which I also talked about this morning on my other show. On November 2nd, a decision is going to be made whether the state of California can have official regulation over the sales of video games, particularly violent video games to minors. Now, what the whole legislation is about is Arnold Schwarzenegger and his league of whoever he's got behind him on his side, they want to stop the sale of violent games to minors, and then they want to punish the people who get caught doing it. Meaning the state wants to fine people $1,000 if they get caught selling an MA-rated game to someone who's under the age of 18.
Wow.
Now what this means, and the implications of something like this, is that it will set a precedence for regulation for art industries as a whole, not just video games, music, movies, everything else that can be deemed violent or inappropriate. And the thing that I find so ironic about it is that it's Arnold Schwarzenegger.
I know,
the guy who made a living off of violent video games. This is absolutely absurd.
Yeah.
That's what I mean, movies. I'm talking about him preventing violent video games.
Right, no.
Yes, so I mean, they're rallying. the ECA, the Entertainment Consumers Association, is going to hold a rally on the steps outside the Capitol, or excuse me, outside the Supreme Court building the day that they put their verdict up. And I really hope there's a big showing. If I lived in Washington, D.C., I would go. So if you live in the D.C. area on November 2nd, make plans to go and rally with the ECA.
That's just so wild to me.
It is. It's crazy. The implications are really huge, and I think people are overlooking that.
Yeah, but it's just like, why spend your money and your resources and time on something that prevents sales, like video game sales? Like, why not put that against something like, I don't know, giving us more jobs, or, you know, something like that? It's
Precisely.
Like, really? This is what you guys are doing up there.
At the same time, I think that this is also part of the bigger issue that they're always continually seeing video games as like a kid's thing. It just has not made the step into being mainstream to be considered something like adults do as well.
Right.
You know, because there's violent movies get made, and you know, you don't take your kids to go see the violent movies. Just don't buy your kids violent video games. Like, as what you were talking about, as a parent, it's your responsibility to how you raise your child. You can't point the finger at a video game and say that's the cause of why he's so violent.
Right,
yeah,
exactly.
That's the point. And a lot of people make that argument, but it's just people are stubborn and people are ignorant, and
because they view video games as a kid's thing.
Yeah,
they will never,
people don't want to take the blame. No, I'm not a bad parent.
Yeah.
This wasn't my fault. This was your fault. And it's like, no, actually, it was yours.
Exactly.
So.
And what they're ignoring is the big picture that the majority of game players and game purchasers and game owners are 18 to 35, like already. Like, and I think it's even older than that. I actually think it's like 25 to 45. I don't have my ECA stats handy because Adrian has the laptop over there in the corner. But I know that it's like 20 and older is the majority of people that are purchasing, buying, and playing games. So,
DC Nerd 37 believes that it's around 30.
Around 30 is the average age? Interesting.
Yeah. It's unfortunate that I feel like this is going to be an argument that isn't going to go away anytime soon.
Exactly.
You know? I mean, it's been around since Elvis has been around. He was the reason why people were having sex, and you know, all that
always
stuff.
something evil. Yeah, absolutely.
It's true.
So speaking of evil, one of the evilest villains of all time is coming to the XBLA and PSN. That's right, it's Magneto, because XMen Arcade is coming to downloadable content sometime this fall. Konami has announced the 1992's X-Men Arcade Brawler will be released on XBLA and the PSN later this year. And after I heard this amazing news, because I love this game, I called up my friend over at Konami and I said, I want to see this game. Do you have it? Can I come look at it? And he said, actually, I do. And the producer, Jaime Bencia, is in-house. So I went over to Konami and I checked it out for Mahalo Video Games Today, the other show that I work on. And I'm going to show you what happened during my visit. So sit back and enjoy my visit to Konami.
In the 21st century, evil mutants led by Magneto aim to destroy the world. Humans could do nothing against the power of the evil mutant. The only hope is X-Men.
Hey, what's up, everyone? It's your girl, Andrea Renee. I'm here at the Konami offices checking out the brand new X-Men Arcade version that's coming to XBLA and PSN in December. Now, we have a first look at this. The announcement just happened last weekend, and we're already here at Konami. I'm here with Jaime, the producer, and I'm so excited to check this game out.
Yeah, we're incredibly excited. So as far as X-Men is concerned, obviously it's a game that came out in the arcades in 1992, and Konami has been wanting to release this game for a really long time and just hasn't been able to up until now. So I think we're going to make a lot of fans happy. Just so you guys are aware of, you know, it's basically your classic, you know, ROM game emulated. It's done by Backbone Entertainment, and we're really happy about that because those guys are the masters of emulation. They've done some really great work in the last few years. So taking the code, game looks great. We up-res the visuals. We kind of added a lot of HD quality HUD elements and 6-player multiplayer, which I think a lot of the fans are going to really enjoy.
I'm so excited to play this game with my friends online. We've been talking about it because I think I don't know a single person who never played this game in the arcade. It's like one of those universal games that you could be a guy or a girl, young or old, and it was one of those games you can just drop in and play, and it's not super difficult. There's not all these combos you need to learn, like in some like Street Fighters and
right. That's definitely one of the fun things, right? I mean, you just put your quarter in, you just start punching, you start using your mutant powers, and I think the fun part of this game is not just the fact that you're playing and it's easy to play and it's accessible, but you play with your buddies, right? And you play with like 5 other buddies, and you're just seeing a ton of action on screen. Obviously you're playing as the X-Men, right?
Yeah.
And it's a lot of fun. And what I love, or one of the reasons why I pushed so hard for this game to come out recently again, was the fact that number one, of course, I'm a huge comic book fan. I'm a huge X-Men fan. And then number two, it's the game just, even to this day, it looks really good. It actually, 20 years later, still really stands up. So it's really a testament to what the original Konami development team did back then.
One of the new features includes a playable Japanese version where the difficulty is ramped up and there are power-ups in the form of mutant and energy drops. There are no save points, but you can skip ahead and play any level of your choosing. And with 4-player local and 6-player online modes, your friends can drop in or drop out at any time. Plus, there will be an online leaderboard so you can track your stats. Jaime, thank you so much for showing me X-Men today. I'm so excited for this game, and I know Matt here is too, and I'm sure everybody out there watching can't wait for this. So tell us, when can we find this game?
We're going to begin the game in the wintertime. So, come this winter, fans of the game will be able to purchase it on Xbox Live or PSN. And like I was saying to you earlier, I mean, I'm a huge fan of the game. I'm incredibly excited for myself, first of all. But, for the fans, you guys are going to love it. It's a great port. There's great up-res visuals that Backbone did. We're really happy with that. And on top of that, the fact that you can play with 6 players, 5 of your buddies, it's huge. It's huge. So we're really, really hopeful that the fans will really love it.
Well, I, for one, can say that I love it. I wish I could stay here all day and play, but I gotta get back to the offices and get back to work. But thank you again so much for letting us
We'll get you a copy soon, and you can play as Dazzler as much as you want.
Fantastic. You know my words.
Thanks.
All right, you guys, it's Andrea Renee for This Week in Video Games. We've been at Konami playing X-Men, and we got the first look at all about XMen Arcade. So it was so fun for me to be able to go to Konami. You remember the X-Men Arcade game, right?
I do, yeah. I feel like there was a slew of games that came out similar to that, like during that time, like The Simpsons and the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles and all that stuff. And so all of those were fantastic.
Yeah, which we really kind of pushed him when we were asking questions about, like, well, what are going to be like the new features for it? And what Jaime told me, which we didn't have enough time to show you guys in the clip, was that Marvel gave them the big A-OK to do this because, obviously Konami put a lot of work into this game back when it came out in 1992, but it was Activision that said, no, we now own all the rights to all Marvel for video games, and we'll let you put out what you created, but you can't add anything else. Because there was a movie, Pride of the X-Men. Matt, you could correct me on this. Pride of the X-Men, I believe, was the movie. And Jaime talked about putting out artwork into the game that the players could look at, and Activision was like, no, you can do the game and that's it. But it is cool that they put the Japanese version in. It's more difficult, there's more enemies, and it takes longer to kill them. And then, like I said in the video, there's energy drops. It's like these little pills that drop down. You can pick them up and you can reboost your energy, or you can reboost your mutant power. So you can have up to 6 players online. If you have a PS3 and you get this from the PSN, you can do it locally. 6 players.
Oh, wow, that'd be awesome.
But because the Xbox can only support 4 controllers, you can only do 4. But online multiplayer, you can do up to 6. And he said there'll be leaderboards, there'll be achievements, there'll be all kinds of really cool stuff. So I'm really excited. I'm buying this for sure, unless Jaime gets me a free copy. Don't cross my fingers. But even if he doesn't, I will purchase it because I love X-Men and I loved this game as a kid.
That's awesome that it supports the local co-op. I feel like there's not too many games out there that allow that or still do that, and I would probably buy it just because of that, just because I would want something to play with my friends when they come over. So that's fantastic. Well, good for you, Konami.
Yay!
People should take your advice or follow that.
Now, whoever did the Simpsons game, The side scroller in the arcade.
Yeah.
You remember that one? They need to get on that one too.
I wonder who that. I can't remember who that was.
I don't remember who that was either. So we'll look it up. We'll have Adrian look it up eventually. So speaking of the chat room and Adrian, we are gonna wait till I believe we have a winner, but we're gonna wait to announce who it is until the end of the show. So make sure you don't leave the chat room if you are thinking that the winner might be you for this lovely little t-shirt. But now it's time for our new segment that we're calling the chat room shout out. We're going to start this new segment because Jess and I were talking and she said, you know, I'm sure there's people out there that have questions for us because they want to get to know who we are as gamers. And I said, you know what? I think you're right. So this is the time where if you are in our Ustream chat room, eventually we will be adding the Justin chat room. But for right now, it's just our ustream.tv/thisweekendchatroom. If you guys have a question for us, please go ahead and post it now, and Jessica and I will do our best to answer it. Whether it be what our favorite video game is, what our favorite console is, when we started gaming, whatever you think that you would want to know about Miss Jessica Villarreal or myself, please go ahead and post a question. So while you guys are doing that, we're going to go into our Youll Adrian segment. Amazing. Right. This is the time of the show that Adrian Acevedo-Smith, our gaming expert from Mahalo Video Games, takes your questions about a difficult boss, a confusing maze, or maybe some achievements or power-ups you have trouble getting. And what do you got for us this week?
Oh, well, this week I got a couple questions on Enslaved.
Enslaved, Odyssey to the West, that's it, right?
Yes. And the thing is that people have been having trouble fighting some bad guys in Enslaved because eventually they start like overwhelming you if you don't have the right strategies. So they asked if I had any combat strategies. And well, during this response, I'll refer to my video that I posted up on Mahalo for the walkthrough. So my best advice here, okay, so as you can see, the best thing that you can do is actually not use the staff, only use to stun, just like I did. And what you always want to do is go for the dudes with the shield first by charging up, hitting them as you can see there, and take care of those guys first because they're the most annoying. And as you move along in the game, you should always basically try to take out the guys who are the biggest threat to you first. Since he moves around pretty slowly and there aren't that many combos, you always have to be thinking, who should I hit right now? Right there, what I just did is use the super combo that you get because it starts charging up and you can only use it once in a while. So you have to be very strategic when you unleash the triangle circle, like super combo that destroys the bigger mechs almost immediately. And basically what you end up doing is just repeating that and dodging out of the way whenever they get too close so they don't overwhelm you. And as far as upgrading, I would always recommend upgrading all your combat strategies first of all, and then go for the health. Because you can also upgrade your staff, but I wouldn't really recommend that because you only use your staff as a projectile in very few sections of the game, and most of the game you'll end up fighting the bad guys one-on-one. So yeah, those are my strategies for passing the later levels in the game. Fantastic.
And you guys, Mahalo Video Games on YouTube, it's youtube.com/Mahalo Video Games. They have a ton of amazing walkthroughs, pretty much for almost every big release that's coming out. I know, what are some of the other ones you guys have going on? You have Sonic, Castlevania.
All the big ones,
Amnesia,
yeah. Sonic,
that you were talking about.
Amnesia.
Medal of Honor.
Yeah, Medal of Honor. They're actually working on it right now because we're prepping for our big Friday live.
Very cool, very cool.
Yep.
So pick a question for Justin and I to answer. I know a bunch of people just threw questions up in the chat room. I don't want to be the one to pick, so you pick whichever one you think would be most interesting for us to answer.
All right. Okay.
I saw quite a few of them in there.
Yeah, there's quite a few good ones.
Some of them I couldn't answer. I'm like, I don't know about that one.
All right.
Okay, let it fly.
In case of a zombie attack, who would survive the longest? You, Andrea, or the chat room guy?
So this is from Dead Pixel Live, this question. In case of a zombie attack, who would survive the longest?
Well, I guess the first question is, do you guys have your plans for the zombie apocalypse? Have you
Oh, well, yeah, I mean, going...
I have an emergency rations kit in my trunk right now.
Oh, what is this
with those little fake, they're not fake, they're real, the packets of water and like the chunks of food that are
like they have the army and stuff like that.
Yeah, exactly. I have one of those. I actually bought it from some Boy Scouts at the local grocery store. They were like, we're selling survival kits. And I was like, okay, you're so cute. I'll buy one.
That's awesome.
Yeah, so I have one.
Guys, all you need is duct tape. I mean, going by Dead Rising 2 with duct tape, you can tape a pair of boxing gloves, some knives, and you can just slash and dash everyone, or a wheelchair and some guns and duct tape them together and kill zombies. Like, with duct tape, you can pretty much survive the zombie apocalypse.
So far it sounds like Adrian's the one who's most prepared for a zombie
Duct tape,
attack.
that's all you need.
I really kind of do have like an entire plan.
Okay, let's hear the zombie plan. I want to know.
Well, I mean, oh gosh, where do I even start? There's so many different things. I mean, I think I would first try to get to, I know it's going to sound really weird, but a Harley Davidson store, because they have leather pants, jackets. I'm sure they have like the spiked wrist straps, spiked collar. Zombies can't bite through leather. I mean, it's really strong. And if you have the collar, if you have the wrist, the wrist straps, things like that, spiked, they can't get through that either, so you're protecting everything. I mean, this isn't like sexy Resident Evil Mila Jovovich crap, get a football helmet or something so they can't like bite you in the face or something. Blades don't run out of bullets, as they say, so you would definitely want an assortment of guns and, machetes and things like that. Something that sounds really weird is socks. You need to take care of your feet, because more than likely there's going to be debris and cars and all sorts of things in the middle of the road, so you won't be able to drive anywhere. So you're going to be walking, I would say, 95% of the time. And you can't let your feet...
Not if you get a Harley, right?
That's true, or a horse. I don't know. I don't know if animals are immune to or not susceptible to zombies, but yeah, if you could find a Harley. You might run out of gas, and you'll start walking again. And so you got to keep your feet dry. You got to keep them clean, because once your feet start to go, if you've been walking around, they get all soggy and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's just the beginning of it. But I still got more in the bag. But that could take forever.
This is really insightful. I didn't know you had a whole zombie plan. Okay, I retract my statement. Adrian, I would go first, then you would go, and Jessica would survive the longest.
But I would help you guys out.
Thank you.
So I mean, I would have plenty of weapons and be like, take this.
I appreciate that.
And I would be able to combine her weapons with the duct tape. So
That's
we'd
true.
We'd be good.
Yeah. You bring the duct tape, I'll bring socks.
Nice. So Dead Pixel Live, to answer your question, Jessica would survive the longest in the case of a zombie attack. So thank you very much for your question. We will be doing the chat room shout out every week from here on now, because we thought it would be a fun little segment.
I think so.
But now is this awesome time of the show where we get to tell you our top 5 fighting games of all time.
Oh, look at that. That is nice.
That's really fancy. Good work out there, production team. Very, very proud of you. So I'm going to go ahead and let Adrian start. Oh, but before I do that, I have to give a shout out to Andy Silva, one of my awesome Facebook friends who suggested this to me. He suggested it to me about a month ago, actually. And we kind of got away from... Excuse me.
Goodness.
We kind of got away from our top 5s, but now we're back. And Andy, I want to say thank you for the suggestion. And a couple of your suggestions did make the list, but not all of them, because it is our top 5, not your top 5. But thank you very much. We do always welcome suggestions here at This Week in Video Games. You can send them to us at videogames@thisweekend.com. Any suggestions you have for top 5s. So let's get down to it. Number 5, Adrian.
All right, so for number 5, we have Tekken 3. Now, the reason why we decided on Tekken 3 is that it's kind of like regarded as one of the best entries in this entire fighting franchise, because it's the one that added 15 new characters and improved the graphics. There was a new axis now, because now before you could only move left and right, now you could sidestep in and out, so that added like a lot of depth to the gameplay. The combos were better, and it also introduced a whole bunch of new characters, and one of my favorites, Horang, and my brother's favorite, Eddie Gordo. And it's just a really overall well-balanced game. And it also has one of the characters is a little dinosaur. It's called Gon, and that's his only appearance in the Tekken series. He's a tiny little orange dinosaur that has really funny moves. So
number 5, Tekken 3. All right, moving on. Number 4, Jessica.
Yes, I've said it before and I'll say it again. I am a Capcom fangirl, so I definitely thought Marvel vs. Capcom should have been in the list. We have here listed Marvel vs. Capcom 2. I'm sure Marvel vs. Capcom 3 will be in there sooner or later, but I just think it's amazing the list of characters and the roster that this game has, and bringing these tremendous characters from Marvel and amazing characters from Capcom and bringing them together and colliding them and being able to fight against or with each other is just amazing. And it's just, I don't know many people who are like, oh, I don't like these characters, or oh, I don't like these characters. It's two amazing worlds put together. And it's intense, it's fast, it looks beautiful. And yeah, I think it's a fantastic game, so.
Hey, absolutely, I agree with you. I do want to tell everyone before we continue on with our countdown that we had quite a rousing debate over what was going to be in the top 5. So this is kind of a combination between myself, Jessica, and Adrian about all the top 5, or all the fighting games that we could finally agree on. We will give you the honorable mentions once we announce the number 1. But on to number 3, Super Smash Brothers Brawl. This is kind of one of the reasons I really love this game is because I'm a giant Nintendo nerd. Like, I live and breathe Nintendo, like all of the Nintendo characters, but obviously Mario and the world of Mario is my favorite. But that was one of the reasons that I really liked this. Now, Adrian, you had some really interesting things to say about the game mechanics.
I mean, what's really cool about Super Smash Bros. Is that it's one of the first games, if not the first game, to implement a fighting system where it's not the goal to take away your opponent's life bar. The goal is to knock him out of the arena and put rack up his percentage points. So, and besides this, it's not a combo-driven game like something like Mortal Kombat or Street Fighter, as the combos are really simple, but given in the hands of a master, you can have like insanely epic, complex battles between dodging and punching and doing your special moves. It's just really great to see like 2 players duke it out in Final Destination.
Who do you play as?
I play as Yoshi.
And you, Andrea?
I play as Mario. I can't not play as Mario. Even though sometimes I do try to play as Peach if I want to.
Oh, okay.
Peach is my
your girl,
my BFF,
your homie. Yeah, right. I'm all about the Meta Knight.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, he's just, I don't know, he's quick and he does the little spiral thing and he makes the sounds, and so
nice.
I love him.
Fantastic. No, it's funny. Someone in the chat room, I believe it was Andy, said that he thought this game should be number 1. And Adrian, didn't you want this game to be number 1?
I want it to be higher as well. Yes.
Yeah. So we kind of overrided him because I thought that number 2, Mortal Kombat 2, needed to be on this list. I wanted Mortal Kombat to be number 1.
I thought it should be number 1 as well, I'm not gonna lie.
This game, I lived, ate, slept, and breathed this game, for years. I mean, I can't tell you how many hours I've logged in this game. I mean, just hours upon hours. I always loved playing Milena. She was my favorite.
Nice.
You know what's funny? I was talking to someone about Mortal Kombat, and they were like, who's Milena? And I was like, you obviously don't play Mortal Kombat.
The magenta girl that looks like Katana.
Exactly, because they're twins.
Yeah.
So this game was really cool because obviously combos were a big thing in this game. Learning the cheat codes were also cool. They had fatalities, which is exclusive to Mortal Kombat. Babalities, where you turned your opponent into a baby. And of course, the ever-present friendship. Where I just saw there that one Jax had like the paper, paper people, the friendship. I always like the fatalities the best, as with any good fighting game.
Of course.
The blood is. And I have to tell you guys, the reboot coming out, the Mortal Kombat, is amazing. I got to try it out at E3 and I loved it. They took a lot of the classic backdrops and re-envisioned them in like 3D, even though the gameplay is 2D. Like it is in the original, and they have completely revamped all of the fatalities, so it's
nice
going to be
and
really,
bloody.
really cool. So number 2, Mortal Kombat. And
awesome.
Number 1, Jessica, please do the honor.
Number 1 is Street Fighter 2.
Street Fighter. Adrian, you really, really fought for this to be at the top of the list.
I mean, I think that if we're doing best fighting games of all time, Street Fighter 2 just always has to be number 1 because this is pretty much the father of all fighting games. Before this, you did not have such a huge roster. Like, it had 8 fighters in Street Fighter 2, which was absolutely gigantic at the time. It also is a fighting game that started introducing things such as that all the characters have weaknesses and strengths, and you have to use them accordingly. And perhaps most importantly of all, and this is amazing, Street Fighter 2 invented combos. Like before that, fighting games were just like, you do a move, he does a move, he does a move. Street Fighter 2 was the one that started stringing them all together, and this is the one where the more you practice it, the more the game gave to you. And this is like, it just caused such a big stir to gamers, and it really united them to like practice with each other and hold tournaments with each other. And after this, like all other games sought to do what Street Fighter 2 had done. Like without Street Fighter 2, there would be no Mortal Kombat. There would be no Smash Brothers. There would be no Tekken. There would be nothing like that. The fighting genre would not be what it is today without Street Fighter 2.
Yeah, my argument for Mortal Kombat being in the #1 spot is I feel like a lot of people wouldn't really know about video games unless it was for Mortal Kombat, because that was the first game that made the mainstream media about how violent it was and, oh my god, like, what's going on here? But it opened people's eyes to, you can actually go and do that? That's cool, let's go check it out. And so it kind of just like paved the way for all these games. You know, I like violent games, I'm not gonna lie, and I feel like they were kind of like the first people to let that out and not be afraid to express their artistic side and violent side. And I mean, I feel like 90% of the games out there are pretty darn violent, and and we all love them.
It's one of the biggest draws of playing video games is that it's fantasy.
You're right.
Well, some of the newer games, the violence is very realistic. I mean, some of these older games, I mean, it was very clear, especially in Mortal Kombat 2, that these things were not actually like going to happen.
Right.
You know what I mean? And that was part of the draw of it, is that you could kill somebody and send a girl up into a ceiling of spikes.
Or pull someone's heart out.
With a giant uppercut. You know? But you couldn't do that in real life. And that was part of the fantasy and the fun of it.
Right.
Now, I do want to make a disclaimer. Someone in the chat room was like, that video is not Street Fighter 2. I know it wasn't. It was
wasn't it
the
Alpha?
Street Fighter Alpha,
Yeah.
yes. Because I had a lot of difficulty finding a file that would work with our technical system that we have here of Street Fighter that wasn't just one single fight. Finding a montage was difficult, so I picked the best Street Fighter I could. I'm sorry, it's my fault, you can blame me.
I just recognized Chun-Li's pant outfit. I was like, I think that's from Alpha. But
Yeah,
I'll
it
just
is,
don't
Alpha,
say anything.
yes, this is correct. Someone in the chat room said that, I think it was Lon.
Oh, okay.
So, but yes, it was. So that is our top 5 fighting games of all time. Let us know what you think, if you agree, if you disagree. Did we leave something out? Oh, by the way, honorable mentions.
Honorable mentions. The honorable mentions that we had were Killer Instinct, Soul Calibur, and Guilty Gear X. And I think the one that we were arguing over was Tekken and Soul Calibur, because I really wanted Soul Calibur because it's really the only weapons-based fighting game out there. Like, everyone has a weapon, and you're fighting. You're not just punching and kicking and doing combos.
Right.
You're slicing and dicing, and you know they look really cool, twisting their weapons around and nunchucks, and everyone is different. So I liked it.
Yes, it was a very rousing debate deciding what we were going to put, so we definitely want to hear your thoughts. Videogames@thisweekend.com. If you guys have suggestions for top 5s, please let us know. And now we're going to talk about your Namco 2011 lineup that you previewed.
Yes. Okay. So last week I got to check out some of Namco's new games that are coming out, and the first game that I was going to talk about was actually called Maggie and the Forsaken Kingdom. So basically, on my notes here, you are a thief who comes across this Forsaken Kingdom, and while you're rummaging around this area, you meet and befriend a Maggie. It's Magin, and he is basically this huge, almost Bluto from Labyrinth-like character. He's huge, and he's green, and he has horns and like plant life crawling all over him. And it's your job to kind of roam around the kingdom with him and find out what his story is. So the story is about him and your story.
And I thought we had a clip of it. We may or may not have a clip of Magin available. Well, go ahead and keep telling me all about it. We'll see if I can maybe find that clip.
Screenshot of it.
So, but yeah, the Maggie has a real name, but we don't know what it is until we have to figure that out in the story. And see, he's so cute. I think he's so adorable. And I asked
look
him,
at that big old nose.
I know. And I asked them if they were going to come out with swag about him, like a keychain or a stuffed animal, and they said they couldn't get any made in time. But I would love to have one of those. It's adorable. But he is mainly AI, but he follows you around the kingdom. But you can bring up your little radial hub, and he can attack. He can help you regain health, because when you're rummaging around the kingdom, these tar-like enemies come out, and when they hit you, they kind of fill you with this tar, and it makes it a little harder for you to move or jump higher or jump faster. And so once you come to your Maggie, whatever he's called, he will clean you off.
Oh, interesting.
And it looks beautiful. Like I said, he's really great, and you don't want to stray too far away from him, because if you do, you know, you guys really do need to stick together in order to make like a successful mission. And
Interesting.
yeah, yeah.
It looks cool.
It looks fantastic, and it's T-rated, so I'm hoping it's not too sad or anything because he's so cute. I hope we don't
Sorry, I was
lose
making notes
him.
on your notes. Notes on your notes.
Yeah, I hope he doesn't die or he leaves me or something like that after I beat the game or something.
Right.
Because I know you're gonna since you're so close to each other the whole game, you're gonna grow attached to him, and I don't know. I'm already in love with him, and I don't want him to leave me in the game. So we'll see.
Okay, cool. Very cool.
The next game I got to take a look at was actually PacMan Party.
Nice.
So this is, Pac-Man's 30-year anniversary. Can't
Absolutely.
believe he's 30. This game will be exclusive to the Wii. And there's over 50 mini games. This game is pretty much like Mario Party, if you ever played Mario Party. And I thought Mario Party was fantastic. So the fact that this is very similar to that is fine with me because it's a platform that I recognize and, the system works. And so, there's over 50 mini games that you can just play without having to go through the actual board, kind of like the Monopoly style, like in Mario Party. And then it also has a classic arcade mode for Pac-Man, Dig Dug, and Galaga, and those games are already on there.
Amazing.
You don't have to unlock them or anything like that, so that's really great. But one thing Namco let me know is that they really did kind of ask the audience like what problems that they had with other group party games, and they said their biggest complaint was that people didn't like waiting for their turn. You're kind of just sitting there and people are rolling the dice and all that stuff. So basically in this game, everyone rolls at once. And if you want to be strategic about it, you can actually almost plan what number you want to hit so you can move that many spots in the game.
Interesting.
Yeah, so,
It does bring a different dynamic to it.
Yeah, and it's different. Sometimes they make it harder because it'll be like a rolling circle and you have to like throw a dart into the right number that you want. Or you could just like shoot a balloon and be like, I want to move 8 spaces and things like that. So they did change it up a little bit in that regard, and I think that's going to be really cool and make for some like intense, gaming moments with you and your friends.
Very cool,
So,
very cool. Well, I don't mean to cut off your last two games, but we're very rapidly running out of time, and we must get bonus points in. So I believe we are bringing in Matt from our new show, This Week in Comic Books, which will be debuting very soon here on thisweekend.com. We shot some stuff today, and I think it'll be coming in 2 weeks. Don't quote me on that. But here he is. He's going to ask us some questions in place of Derek today. How you doing, Matt?
I'm well. How are you ladies doing?
Fine.
Fantastic.
You ready for some bonus points?
I'm ready. And Adrian, you get to compete too, so I hope you're ready.
Oh, so it's
I didn't know
three of
this.
you.
Yeah,
All right.
absolutely. Whoever wins the most wins. That's normally how it goes.
Okay.
The bragging points. The bragging
I'll keep
points.
track
Exactly,
here.
exactly.
This weekend video games bragging points.
Yes.
All right, is everyone ready?
And yo. I'll put yo.
Okay.
There we go. Look at that, Seasha. I don't have to do math. I like that. All right, our very first question. Which fruit helps restore a player's health in the video game Donkey Kong 64?
Bananas.
Apples?
Oranges.
No one has awarded any points. The answer is watermelons.
I wouldn't have gotten that at all.
I'm so sorry.
Okay.
Next question. What company hyped its Jaguar as the first 64-bit gaming system because it had 2 32-bit processors running in parallel? That is your answer?
Clearly she knows.
Okay, all right. Then
Oh,
we
I
were
thought
go-
it was one of those
Well, no,
whoever
that's,
answers
you know what?
first.
Yell it out.
Oh,
Yell it
okay.
out. Sure, go for it.
Is that not how it goes?
No, 1 point for Jess.
Okay.
That's how it is.
Sorry.
What game console sold 514,000 units for Sega during its first 2 weeks in U.S. stores in 1999?
Genesis.
Dreamcast.
Give it to Adrian. There it is.
I'm behind. I need to catch up.
We're looking at 1-1. Andrea taking up the last place. Which computer classic sent players into Phobos to blast specters, lost souls, and cacodemons?
Oh,
Can you repeat the question?
I can repeat the question. Which computer classic sent players to Phobos to blast specters, lost souls, and cacodemons?
it's a PC game, you said.
It is a computer classic game.
Your classic game. I'm giving up. I don't know.
Yeah.
Nobody gets it? It is Doom. We're looking at
Doom.
Doom.
Really?
It is true.
That was easy.
It's crazy.
Okay.
All right. The last question is a multiple choice.
Okay.
Mario, you know Mario.
Yes.
Knows Mario appears as the playable character in Donkey Kong. What was his name in
Jumpman.
that game?
Jump.
Is it A, Happy Plumber Man, B, Jumpman, or C, Barrel Man?
Jumpman.
Looks like Adrian gets it. Adrian gets it.
Okay.
Two.
For the win.
For the win, Adrian, 2 points.
Thank you.
Woohoo!
Congratulations, Adrian. That is another bonus round.
Matt, thank you so much.
Thank you very much for having me.
And
Thank
we
you.
are very excited for This Week in Comic Books.
I'm very
Whenever
excited
it
too.
debuts,
It
it'll
will
be
be
soon,
It
just
will
so
be
everyone
soon.
knows.
Yes.
Soon.
Yes.
Nice.
Excellent. Thank you, guys.
Awesome. Thank you, Matt. All right, and wouldn't you know it, that's it for the show today. I want to say a big thank you to GoDaddy, our sponsor here at This Week in Video Games. Don't forget we have a promotional code, you guys. It's TWIST749. You go to GoDaddy.com and you find your own domain name. Like I said earlier, I have my domain, AndreaRenee.com, from GoDaddy. Starts at less than $5 a month, promises 99.9% uptime, 24/7 support, and free access to the GoDaddy hosting connection. So if you want to get a site, now's a perfect time. You can get it for just $7.49. Some restrictions apply. See site for details. We have some really cool stuff coming up on the show next week. We will have a showdown where we promise no technical difficulties. Again, if you guys have suggestions for the showdown, email us, videogames@thisweekend.com. And before we go, I have to announce the winner for the t-shirt.
Yep.
Who is it, Adrian?
It looks to me like the winner is Dead Pixel Live.
Dead Pixel Live! With the question, you get your Castlevania t-shirt.
Dead Pixel Live.
So, Dead Pixel Live, I need to tell you, you need to email us at videogames@thisweekend.com with your address so we can send it to you if you want to get it. So make sure you don't forget, because if you don't email me by this time next week, I'm going to give it away to somebody else. And don't forget, you guys, we are giving away a copy of Castlevania Lords of Shadow on the PS3. Adrian, go ahead and repeat that question one more time.
All right, so the question for Castlevania is, a selectable character from one of the Castlevania games is related to a character in a novel. Who is this video game character? Furthermore, in which games did he appear, and what novel character is he related to? Also, I should mention that if you like exploding people into blood, that's the game to buy. Castlevania, all that happens, you just attack a bad guy, he explodes into blood.
Wow.
It's
And
great.
really epic music.
Really
apparently.
epic music, yeah.
Nice. All right, so if you want a free copy of this for the PS3, make sure you email us your answers to videogames@thisweekend.com. On the show next week, we will announce who the winner is. I want to thank you, all the websites that we get our gaming news from, the bitbag.com, Destructoid, Gamasutra, Kotaku, Joystick, Max Console, IGN, Game Trailer, G4TV, Game Pro, all the other amazing game sites out there. I'm Andrea Renee. You can find me on Twitter @Andrea Renee or on my YouTube channel, youtube.com/BLSSM01. That is also my gamer tag. And don't forget to watch my other show, Mahalo Video Games, today on YouTube at youtube.com/Mahalo Video Games. Where can they find you, Jess?
You can just find me on Twitter, twitter.com/JessV. That is JESV.
Well, fantastic. And Adrian also has a YouTube site, don't you?
Yeah, well, my personal YouTube site is youtube.com/GodzillaRex. And if you want to email me about the questions, my email is adrians@mahalo.com. And be sure to always check our YouTube channel at youtube.com/MahaloVideoGames.
Fantastic. Well, that is it for the show today. Make sure you guys stay tuned because This Week in Music with Asha and Tim is coming up next. It'll start at 8 o'clock. We will be back next week with another amazing show. Thank you again to GoDaddy. We will see you next week, but for right now, it's game over.